They have a particular methodology about how they go about securing their agenda and controlling the rest of us. One of the means of doing this I refer to as the infernal trinity of problem, confusion, solution. David Icke and other researchers in this exact field refer to it as problem, reaction, solution. But you see, reaction is too vague. It's not a reaction that they merely want, it is a confused reaction. So I prefer to have it as problem, confusion, solution. It's more commonly known as the Hegelian dialectic. Another manifesto of these secret societies is called the Occult Technocracy of Power. It's anonymously written. And in that book it says, the so-called left-right political spectrum is our creation. In fact, it accurately reflects our careful, artificial polarization of the population on phony issues that prevents the issue of our power from ever arising in their minds. And in my own book I say that, look, the opposition party is being called opposition by guess who? The opposition. Now the problem, confusion, solution, we can see it operate. Deliberately create problems and then offer only those solutions which result in the expansion of government. Create conditions so frightful at home and abroad that the abandonment of personal liberties and national sovereignty will appear as a reasonable price to pay for a return to domestic tranquility and world peace. So says G. Edward Griffin, one of the great American researchers into alternative history and conspiratorial movements. Now, James Simon Kunin of the Strawberry Statement, in that book, he was one of the original college revolutionaries of the 60s, says, at the convention, men from Business International roundtables, the meeting sponsored by Business International for their client groups and heads of government, try to buy up a few radicals. They offered to finance our demonstrations in Chicago. We were also offered ESSO, that's Rockefeller money. They wanted us to make a lot of commotion. So here you have it from the horse's mouth. Here's one of the rebels that wouldn't give in, one of the leading activists in the movement of rebellion in the colleges on the East Coast, saying no sooner did we get created and try to overthrow the establishment than they're in the back door offering us all sorts of millions to do their bidding. And then we have Jerry Kirk, the famous black activist at the University of Chicago, was a radical member of SDS, the New Boys Club, the Black Panthers, and the Communist Party. But in 1969, he broke from the party and publicly declared the following. Young people have no conception, he said, of the conspiracy strategy of pressure from above and pressure from below. They have no idea that they are playing into the hands of the establishment they claim to hate. The radicals think they're fighting the forces of the super-rich, like Rockefeller and Ford, and don't realize that it is precisely such forces which are behind their own revolution, financing it and using it for their own purposes. Jerry Kirk goes on to say, the idea is to create a situation where the people are so frightened of all the chaos around them that they will throw up their arms in the air and shout, "Federal government, do something!" And the only choice will be martial law. The communists, black militants, and revolutionaries will never succeed in overthrowing the government of the United States, but unless they are stopped, they will scare the American people into accepting socialism from Washington, the status rule from the establishment. This is what it's really about. Edward Bernays, in his book Propaganda, he says the conscious and intelligent manipulation of organized habits and opinions of the masses is an important element in a democratic society. Those who manipulate this unseen mechanism of society constitute an invisible government which is the true ruling power in our country. A relatively small number of persons. It is they who pull the wires which control the public mind and who harness the wild social forces and contrive new ways to bind and guide the world.